All right, I hear on TV all the time they're looking for evidence of giants and of ancient contact and all that business, and I have all of that right here. And I have giant specimens that were DNA tested, over 200 feet tall, really. And this is also a giant tendon, and this is a advanced tire track of like a four-wheel drive vehicle that was driven over this tendon as it was drying out, and I believe this was directly after the Great Flood when apparently all the giants were killed off. Now this is the bloody sheathing, which is called the synovial sheathing, which is bloody and slippery, and it coats the tendons and they slide back and forth in it. And this is the structure of the tendon. Now I'm going to show you what an Achilles tendon looks like. Alright, this is an Achilles tendon. You can see the same fibers. Those are sinuous fibers that are coming out of the tendon enthesis ball. And down inside here, there's highly mineralized, and it's called plagioclase. And around that is a red, bloody, gooey stuff that keeps the mineral from tearing into your bone. And that is the heel. And up here, right across here, there's a place called the abrupt transition, and that's where they break. And these are found all over the world. All right, this is tendinous structure. You see these stripes, these like little bars. Well, inside of these bars, there's a ton of little fibers like this here. There's a zillion of them. And then the synovial sheath coats this band. Then look at this structure right here. I claim there's giants all over the earth, and I'll show you why I say that. Alright, you saw that last tendon shots. The bottom structures are exact same as this. And this is the bloody investment, which is the ferrous oxide, red blood. Fully understood what it is. You know, that's what it is. And here is the fibrous calcified minerals that create your tendinous material, and tendons are made out of collagen type 1, which is calcium and the bone materials in a certain structure where it's flexible. And by the way, they're all the same age. These are just been carved. There's a tendon structure the kids are sliding on. It's been all smoothed out, but there's that red slurpy stuff like we saw on the tire track one. Alright, here's some more tendinous material, and here it is right here. And if you went to where they broke on the edge, you'd find that there's going to be some red slurpy in there as well. And they are all over the world. And all the ones that are blocks, I'll show you another thing in a second. Alright, this is what a tendon looks like in microscopic shots over here. And this is what the structure looks like, and which is coming out of the bone. So the bone has that ball, and coming out of the bone is this. And this is where these little fibers come, those little strappy things. And then there's an abrupt transition, which is this right here. And it breaks just like you cut it with a knife. And there's some little slurpy stuff in here, which is like the glue. And these are the tendinous straps that come out of here, into your muscle. Now, it breaks right out there. Now, you see this right here? This is what they do. They block off inside of the tendon itself. So you not only have the straps coming up, you have blocks this way, and they literally break off in these little blocks, and they are literal blocks. The ends of these are cut like you cut them with a knife. Look at them. You can see. You can see how sharply cut they are. And the old construction techniques, they didn't build with carving and cutting and doing all this. They picked these up and stacked them. It's not quite as evolved as they say, I don't think. Once again, Finnegan's Cave. This is tendons from a giant creature. And these are the fibrils that are now called basalt columns. And they are tendon fibrils. And each one of them was coated with a layer of that synovial fascia sheath, which is bloody invested. And here's some of where this was serviced with blood, is where the red areas are. up here, but it looks like there's a red blood investment there. And this is that gluey stuff, which is the leucine-rich proteins. And above that, going straight up, would have been the muscle. And that breaks, the muscle breaks off because the muscle is fleshy and it just erodes right away. So that's that. Now, believe it or not, I'm claiming this is a tendon enthesis as well. And there is the abrupt transition, cut off flat as a pancake. Remember this structure here? Remember the articulation of the tendon straps? Here they are. These are the blocks. You see across there? You see that? Cut. You see how the stripes go straight across? Exactly what we saw in the microscopic shots of the tendons. Now, the reason that this waterfalls are coming out of here in these exact locations around the outside of this is that water services, well, right now it's water, but normally it would have been blood. And in the ground is the heel of this enthesis, and that has arteries and veins in it. Now the veins don't blow out because they have clamps inside them, but the arteries, the blood literally blows out, washes out of them, and you get plumbing built right in. So deep in the ground, it's just creating an artesian well, and the water pressure is pumping up to the top of this plateau, and there's little, they call them, well, they're blood vessels, and they're arterial blood vessels, and they break off, and then now it's pumping water up through and out in these exact locations. And this is because of the structure of creatures and where the blood flows. All these things are seen, and there's another thing I have to tell you, is that the pyramids were also made of these things. These are the bases of all of these huge structures, I believe, the monolithic structures, including Herodium, or I believe that's the name of it. It's King Herod, I think, built it. A huge structure, and they marvel at that. And also Machu Picchu, there's water coming up out of there because it was a tendon assembly. And all these things were from giant creatures that the earth is made of. That's all I can tell you. Now, and here's another thing that I'm sure is pretty much of a fact. When they come across these things in ancient times, they broke the pieces off the top and put them down this way and made a pyramid building from the top down. Now, the ones that didn't turn into pointy little pyramids, they made tops on them, and they used the water and lived up there, and you know, for protection reasons and so forth. So they had a lot more going for them than we think. And I believe that this was these little bars they broke off, and they hoisted them down, and maybe they dropped them down to pull stuff up. They had so many of them here, they could just keep dropping them down with a pulley and pull stuff up at the same time. I don't know what they did, but all I can tell you is this is a giant tendon enthesis. That's it, the way it works. All right, this is the DNA tests that we had done 3 of them, and Helix Biolab was the only one that would do these tests because they were on human giants, and everybody else, as soon as they find out that that was what it was, they back out, or they never even wanted to get involved. So anyway, and this was extremely well done. The collection of the samples was textbook. We covered with plastic, and you know, sterilized all the tools, and deeply got the samples deep inside, and they were for ancient DNA dense, they said, and there was over 100 base pairs, 2 regions, and it goes on and on, and they sent this off after he did the extraction of the DNA. They sent it down to Eaton Biolabs down in New Jersey, and they did the sequencing and did whatever else they do. I don't know what they do, but they did all this sequencing down at Eaton Biolabs, and they came up with the results, and there it is. There's all human DNA. And it's pretty pretty sophisticated tests, and they should be examined, and this is evidence of what I'm presenting. And I additionally have CAT scans. And the CAT scans were done by Jesse Garant and Associates, and they do industrial scanning. Now here's one of the CAT scans I'm showing here, and here's a different. Now look, you see this? Here's the nail bed, and this is a giant fingertip. It's about 9 or 10 inches long from here to here, and that is a left thumb. And inside the CAT scans is very, very clear, and they did a fabulous job. You can see the bone inside it, and then you can see as it goes on and on. There's all kinds of information here. But anyway, I have all of the tests. There were 7 CAT scans they did, and the DNA and the chemistry and all that stuff is done. So I think somebody should look at this, and I'm not getting any help from any academics whatsoever. They oppose this with prejudice, and I'd like to have someone take a look at this. It just makes no sense to just ignore these facts. Thank you.